New York and on the new Hot 97 app. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
Ebro in the morning, beautiful Laura Styles, Rosenberg. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for Van Jones. Yeah. Van Jones, Bay Area native.
Oh, Tennessee native, but Bay for most of my activist career.
Now, what was the name of your first book you put out?
The first book was called The Green Collar Economy, and it had a chapter in it called The Green New Deal. So that was 2008 when I went to work for Obama.
Green New Deal in 2008.
2008. I was an international bestseller, 6 languages. It was used. That book was used in 100 universities last year. And then AOC just took it to a whole different level. But I've been on this stuff for like...
What languages was it in? I'd like to know that.
Really?
If it wasn't... if there's a Cantonese version, I'd like that one.
You coming for
the reason
AOC?
I asked that is because...
There was.
And then your second book.
Rebuild the Dream. It was like an assessment 4 years into the Obama years.
That was when I learned about you.
Right. And so, really trying to look at but at that point, it was new to have the Tea Party as a swarm and Occupy. And so we were trying to understand these new dynamics in politics. So that book really tried to examine all that stuff.
And the reason that's important, I think, to set the tone for this conversation is because a lot of people just think you're a guy on television who does interviews.
Right.
Right. And so hopefully in this conversation, because we had a convo and I said that most people don't even know what you do.
Right. Well, good. I mean, look.
Or why you're here, or why you with Jay-Z and Meek Mill. Who the hell are you?
Yeah.
Why are you on television?
Yes. Well, good. Look, I love that. Well, first of all, I've been 25 years frontline criminal justice activist. I got Yale Law School, 1993. And immediately, look at that year, 93. 92, Rodney King.
Right.
Police brutality videotaped for the first time, and the system says, we don't care. LA goes up, 30 cities have riots, uprisings. I'm in law school. We're supposed to be learning about liberty and justice for all. I'm looking at my TV. There's no liberty. There's no justice for all. Get out of law school, move to the Bay Area, and then Clinton crime bill, 94. Then it's 3 strikes and you're out. So literally, I'm like a 24-year-old black guy with dreadlocks and an Ivy League law degree walking out of law school into the beginning of this mass incarceration industry. And I started fighting. So the first thing I do, I start suing cops. And I'm like this, young guy in the Bay Area, organizing, grassroots, protesting, sit-ins. And we got this horrible racist cop fired named Mark Andaya. Reebok International Human Rights Award comes to me for helping to clean up the SFPD. Then we shut down 5 abusive youth prisons in California, cut the California youth prison population by 80% with no increase. We're working with our allies as well. But the Ella Baker Center for Human Rights, which is still in Oakland, which is still doing it, I found it literally in a closet of another civil rights organization and built it up. So I tell people I was woke before they had alarm clocks. I mean, we were fighting on this stuff when you had to fight Democrats and Republicans. Don't act like the Democrats have been our friend on this. Most of these politicians in the 90s, and we talked about this, they bought the right to call themselves liberal on an environment and everything else by being, quote unquote, tough on crime, which meant tough on black folks.
That's right.
And we went along with that. And so...
And also, and I want to remind everybody, and you and I spoke about this, that 1994 crime bill was endorsed by a lot of black churches, black politicians, and black people in our communities that had given up on dealing with young people in gangs.
Yeah. Well, and by the way, can I ask a question? Now, at that time, was some of that, obviously some of that is just racial politics and being like, I want to appear hard on crime, so let's throw more black people in jail. However, when you talk about the black churches and the people who are involved in it also who are black, wasn't there just a certain level of people who were fed up with crime because crime was in a different place
They didn't
at
know
that
what
point?
to do.
Yeah, and didn't know what to do?
Well, look, here's the thing. The options, nobody goes to McDonald's and orders sushi, right? You order what's on the menu. The menu that was being put forward was either you keep having these homicides or we flood the streets with cops. The young people, and at that time I was a young person, we were saying, hey, how about some jobs? How about some programs? How about, that's too soft. You want to have a hug a thug approach. We're not going to have a hug a thug approach, blah, 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 blah. Well, and so the positive stuff was taken off the menu. Now, 25 years later, we have a new addiction crisis. Mm-hmm. Now it's not crack with the face of that being black. Now it's opioids, the face of that is white. Now suddenly, oh, we need mental health. Oh, oh my God, this is a healthcare crisis. You don't see them flooding Appalachia with SWAT teams. You don't see them kicking in doors in Rust Belt white towns in the industrial Midwest.
Talk to them.
And so, but don't, even though some of the older cats in the civil rights crowd were going along with that stuff, please don't act like the youth weren't fighting. We were fighting.
Right.
We were marching.
We didn't have the tools.
We didn't have the tools. There was no social media.
Right.
We had fax machines and pagers, dog, but we were fighting.
Right.
Okay? So
listening to coup albums, just getting together.
Yeah. So understand that, it's not people who are being oppressed always fight back. Mm-hmm. We were fighting back. We were arguing. Folk burned down L.A. I mean, please don't erase the resistance of Gen X, because we were out there fighting when both political parties were against us. Now we finally in a situation where I think we can get both political parties to at least begin to make a turn. But it's been 25 years, man.
It's important that you say that too, because one of the critiques that you get on social media is about how you're working with Jared Kushner.
Yes.
You're working with Donald Trump, but you're also working with Meek Mill and Jay-Z, and people are like, pick a side. You get a lot of that pick a side talk. Yeah. And I was buying in, right? Because I read your book, but I didn't know why you were on television. Right? And I knew that you were, so one of your colleagues wrote the new Jim Crow.
Yeah, Michelle Alexander and I have known each other since we were teenagers. In fact, when she first left Stanford and went to the ACLU in Northern California to take on Driving While Black, I facilitated her first meeting. Michelle and I have been down since the playground. So again, I think we're in this United States of amnesia, where you are only whatever your last, Twitter storm was. That's the last time you trended, that's who you are. And it's kind of cancel culture. Like, if I didn't like your last trend, screw you. And it's not just Van Jones. I mean, I remember they were saying, screw Nancy Pelosi in the most recent election.
Right.
And then she got in there and pimp slapped Donald Trump one time. Now she's a hero again. So you in this.
Well, you can't really listen to social media either, because it's every other day is a new thing. But I want to understand and have you articulate, what exactly are you doing now, right? Because you're on television, you're doing interviews, but that's not really a game.
Yeah, look, I mean, the thing about TV is it's such a force multiplier. So you would think I'd live at CNN. Like, I'm at CNN 24 hours a day, locked in there, can't leave. I have the Van Jones show. It's twice a month. Okay, so 1 hour, 2 hours a month. And then sometimes I'm on in prime time, talking to Don Lemon for 8 minutes. What am I doing the other 23 hours a day? Fighting for criminal justice. That has not changed. But what has changed is my ability to make stuff happen. And so, for instance, you mentioned I'm the startup CEO of the Reform Alliance. Jay-Z, Meek Mill, and 6 other heavy hitters, billionaires, all got together and said, listen, after what happened to Meek, we got to make a big change. So they pledged $50 million to try to make something happen on probation and parole reform across the country. That's my job. So I'm the startup CEO of that. We're making that happen. But before that, the past 3-4 years, at no pay, as a volunteer at the Dream Corps out of Oakland, we've been running something called the Cut 50 campaign. That campaign has passed 18 bipartisan bills, criminal justice, in the past 18 months. It's probably the winningest campaign on criminal justice reform. We got the First Step Act passed, and we can talk about the politics of that. But just to be clear, yes, I work with Donald Trump on it, Jared Kushner, and a bunch of Republicans, a bunch of Democrats. And this year, 25,000 people, this year alone, going through the federal system will have shorter sentences than they would have had because of that bill. Properly implemented, and they may not properly implement it, in which case we're going to fight them. But if they properly implement it, 4,000 people, mostly black, will come home from prison this year. 1,000 already have. This year, with us erasing those outdated, unfair crack cocaine laws from the 80s. So that bill did a lot to, fix some stuff, and I took a lot of flack, and I'm happy to take flack.
And now the flack you took was because you were bipartisan.
Yeah, and listen, I think it's tough for our folk, as outrageous as Trump is, the fact that he plays footsie with white nationalists and white supremacists and snatching babies from their moms at the borders. I mean, that's a hard thing for us to swallow. Black folk, even though it's not black folk getting messed with at the border, we're just a justice-loving people. We understand it. We understand it. We understand, family separation because it happens in the community. It's called
it's a part
foster
of our history
care
too.
Yeah, from slavery to foster care. So we understand, and that's very tough to then say, I'm going to have to sit down and break bread with that. And most people can't do it and shouldn't do it. But me? Look, man, my dad was born in 1944 in a shotgun shack in Orange Mound, Memphis. He had to join the military. Everybody else was running out the military. My dad joined the military to get out of poverty. Put himself through college, put his brother through college, put his cousin through college, married the college president's daughter at a little black college called Lane College, my mama. And they put us through college. When I graduated from Yale in 1993, my father, the picture we put on my father's funeral program was him standing at Yale with his hands in the air because we approved. I'm a ninth generation American. I'm the first one in my family born with all my rights. And so when I graduated from Yale Law School and I looked out and saw my father with his fists in the air around all his people, I said, we won. We proved, you give us a shot, we'll run the table. But now I'm 24, 25 years old, and I see the attack coming down. My father put a whole community on his back with nothing. I've got a Yale law degree. I've got no excuse not to come hard. Once you start fighting, hopefully you get more sophisticated going forward, you get better. And here's what I learned. Every single time we closed one of those youth prisons in California, it was always black and white. It was always red and blue. It was always some weird coalition of people that shouldn't be together. But if you just left it just the black folk on our own, we get beat every time. And so I learned you got to be willing to fight the Democrats or work with them, fight the Republicans or work with them to get people home. And I don't keep score based on my mentions on Twitter. I keep score based on how many of our people come home. And so, to your point, yes, I have my role on television, but Prince told me to get that job. I was doing Prince's philanthropy. After I left working for Obama, I worked for Prince. I was doing his philanthropy. And he said, listen, you talk all this stuff. And, because you work for Obama, they talk about you on Fox News, but nobody's ever heard your voice. You need to be on television. And he said that will give you more reach, more access, and you'll be able to get more done. And that's proven to be the case. But I wasn't born on CNN. I probably won't die at CNN because, they churn through. They get different personalities. But fighting for our people, I will fight with or against anybody to get our people home. And I don't care what anybody says. If you show me the prisons that you've closed, show me the bills that you've passed, and tell me how you did it, I'll do it your way. But until somebody show me a better way, I'm gonna do what I'm doing.
So how do you directly work with Trump? Tell us a little about some of your experiences working with him.
I mean, look, I've gone to the Oval Office. I've sat down from me to you closer, with them, and it's a bizarro experience, man. Because I work for Obama. I mean, I've been in that building with people I love. I don't mean people I like. I don't mean people I admire. I mean people I hardcore love. And to walk back through those same doors and walk back through those same hallways, and there's some folks in there I have a lot of respect for. There's people in there I despise. And I got to walk past those people and I got to sit down and have this conversation. That's not a happy day.
So how tell us about that conversation.
Yeah.
And is because Trump is he is an enigma in that he, as you pointed out, he has all these things we just absolutely cannot swallow and loathe. But there are these bizarre moments when you feel like because he wants to be down with everyone and loves being accepted, you can get his ear.
Yeah, well, the thing that happened that was the craziest for us was we were terrified when Trump won. I mean, when I say we now, I just mean criminal justice. Of course, everybody. But criminal justice, we had finally gotten under Obama. Obama doesn't get the credit that he deserves. Obama set the table for bipartisan criminal justice stuff.
Well, he brought home 3,000 people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he gave clemency to people. The only sitting president to ever visit
prison.
a federal prison. I mean, so he really set the table for a lot of this stuff. But the bill, it just came up short. Mm-hmm. That happens, right? So we're thinking, okay, the bill's ready to go. We're going to be able to get something done. Then Trump runs against the bill, against Obama for doing criminal justice, Blue Lives Matter, American carnage, and when he got in, prison stocks went through the roof. We said this is going to be terrible because we had worked hard under Obama to get both parties ready to go, and both parties were really ready to go. Rick Perry closed 8 prisons in Texas. Governor Deal, Republican governor down in Georgia, cut the prison population there by about 15%.
So even pretty right Republicans like Rick Perry were starting to get on board.
Under the Obama administration, people were starting to come around. And then all of a sudden, here comes Trump, and he's like wiping that off the board. So our terror is, we're going to now be looking down the barrel of 4 years of Willie Horton ads coming out of his mouth. Willie Horton meaning scaring you.
Scaring white people about the black
crime,
criminal.
About the black criminal. And so we're like, we're going to be knocked back 20, 30 years. But Jared Kushner's father had gone to prison.
That's right.
On some white collar stuff. And all of a sudden we realize Jared Kushner is coming for blood. Jared Kushner is like, I saw this with my own eyes, and I'm in a position to do something, I'm coming. And we're like, wait a minute. First of all, let's just be clear. Jared Kushner is a dude, forget everything else you guys don't like. Me personally, trying to feed my children. When Jared got in office, he called my boss at CNN and told Jeff Zucker, fire Van Jones and fire Ana Navarro because they're too tough on Trump. Because I said white lash and all that stuff. And so now that gave me job security for life because now they can never fire me. But that was his move to try to knock me out. So I'm like, hold on a second. I got to look in the mirror. This dude came from my family. This dude came from my food. This dude came from my housing, my clothes, my shelter, my tuition. But if you want to do something to help our people, I got to break bread with the guy. Let me look him in the eyeballs and see is he real, is he fake? I wound up in a meeting. I don't know if I should put it out there. I was in a meeting with the guy and a whole bunch of Republicans. And and there's no cameras, and I'm the only liberal there, and I'm checking this thing out because I don't want to get put out on Front Street and made a fool of. And the Republicans, well, we could pass a bill, but we're not gonna do anything to help those murderers and those these and that. Maybe the nonviolent people, but blah blah blah. And they're getting all starting to become like a big yeah, we're not gonna do anything about people. And Jerry goes, excuse me, I think you guys are wrong. Everybody said, what? I think you're wrong. He said, the way I see it, it's not whether somebody was violent when they were arrested or convicted. It's are they ever coming home? If they're going to come home, they should come home job ready and transformed. We should help them the most. Now, I was ashamed of myself because I wasn't going to say that. You know what I mean? I'm just like trying to survive in the meeting. Now, we didn't win that argument with those guys, but I saw him based on what he had actually seen with his own eyes take a stance. I can ride with this guy.
Because he can relate to it to his own dad.
Because he can relate to it. And people say, well, it's not, the only reason he's doing it is because, his dad. I said, the only reason most black people are doing it is because of our family. It's not like you're just going to wake up in the morning like,
People fight for issues that are close to them.
Yeah, exactly.
Generally speaking.
And so that became this incredible, unlikely, God got in it crack in the whole Trump front, against justice. And we just, and all my friends said, Van, look, you're going to get killed. You start saying, positive stuff about Republicans, or you start saying, well, because I said I got 99 problems with the Trump administration, but prisons ain't one. Okay, there's a possibility to get something done on that. They said, dude, your career is over. I said, listen, I didn't get this job to have this job. I got this job because I'm trying to get something done. And if, Black Twitter, cancels me out,
well, I think
but we pass the bill, hey.
I think it's important.
You can buy your Twitter.
I think it's important to focus right there, right? Yeah. Because a lot of people don't have the ability in their brain to work with nuance and these, like you said, God got into this crack in this one thing, not everything. No, this one thing. And most of us aren't politically sophisticated, right? And so we're listening to your talk, and you hear Jared Kushner's name, and you're in a meeting, and everybody's watching this video going, really, you at meetings with these people, et cetera, et cetera. It's important, and we had this talk. You have one goal. You have one mission.
Close.
It's not really all the other stuff.
Yeah, look, I love my role at CNN. I love getting a chance to interview the Steph Currys and the Oprahs and the Jay-Z's and all that sort of stuff. And notice I always raise a question. Ask them a personal question, and if I can squeeze in criminal justice, I always do it. We had Oprah and Ava DuVernay talking about criminal justice on my show. Jay, Steph, everybody. When I do my show, I always try to raise the issue. You can't always raise it, but I try to get it in there. I love that. That's great. Everybody has some breadth. But what is your center? What is your purpose? My purpose is human freedom, human dignity for all people, starting with the people who don't have it, which is mostly us. And so that's my check mark. And what I know is, look, I'm 50. I was born in 68. When I was 25, I would have cussed a Van Jones out on the street if I saw him. But I'm not 25. I'm 50. And I've closed prisons. I know how hard that is. I've passed bills. I know how hard that is. Math matters, man. Georgia is so effed up when it comes to our folks. it's mostly a red state. Even they have to steal and cheat. They got
Stacey Adams, she's supposed to be the governor.
Yeah, they stole the governorship.
It was set up.
Yeah.
It was set up.
It was set up that way. They stole from a black woman. They stole in plain daylight, and people still walking around like this, like a normal thing. How do you? Math matters. Can you pass a bill in that state? My organization, the organization I founded, Cut 50, just unanimously passed in 2 chambers in Georgia a bill for dignity for incarcerated women 3 weeks ago. Okay?
And what does that mean?
That means that women in Georgia prisons, if the governor will sign the bill and not veto it, and that's a whole other thing. It means that women will no longer be shackled when they're giving birth to babies.
Right.
It means that they'll have access to, sanitary supplies, which are not given. You have to pay. It means that where their children are will have a bearing on where they get placed. Because you might get arrested in this county and charged, and then they put you at the other end of the state, and your kids can't come, and now they're in the mix. So these are the kinds of fights that don't trend. When our organizations win these fights, nobody says nothing. And I'm like, well, hold on a second. If you're going to kick my butt over a tweet, and please kick my butt over tweets. If you don't, it's a free country. But if you're going to attack my words, at least look at my deeds.
Well, now you're expecting too much.
Yeah.
Now you want people to do research.
That's not how Twitter works, bro.
Van, calm down, right?
Van.
That's why we have you up here. Right?
So Kim Kardashian is giving you a lot of credit for supporting her in her new role in criminal justice, right?
Yes.
Can you just break down a little bit more about what exactly is she doing? Because we know that she's studying to become a lawyer, but today we talked about a headline. She freed 17 inmates in 90 days. Can you just kind of give us more clarity on what that is?
Hey, look, Kim is dope. I had a completely wrong understanding of who she was. I never met her. Just based on the news, based on when you say Kardashian, everybody already knows it's like some it's kind of like if you're super social justice. A black woman named Topeka Sam, who does not get enough credit, formerly incarcerated, a beast. She's like one of the best activists in the country. She worked with Miss Alice Johnson and her team, and who had a black woman attorney named Brittany Barnett, who's also bad. So these 2 young black women figured out a way to get a videotape made about Miss Alice Johnson, black woman, and grandma was going to die in prison for a
Yeah,
non-life.
we saw it.
her a lot.
Yeah.
Okay, so Miss Alice Johnson. But nobody knows behind the scenes, it was 2 black women, Brittany Barnett, the attorney, Topeka Sam, the activist, that got that video made. How many videos have you seen from black women in prison? Like 1. That thing went viral. Kim saw the video, and it just clicked something in her mind. And people forget, her father was a prominent attorney. She got 3 black kids, 1 more on the way. She's not that same little party girl that she was back in the Paris Hilton era. She's grown up a lot, and something about that video hit her, and she realized, wait a minute, I know Ivanka. I know Jared. I'm going to pick up my phone and call him. And she literally had the phone in her hand. She saw the video. She was moved by the video, and she just went in her contacts and called and said, this is outrageous. We got to do something about it. And all of a sudden, she's in the White House, and she's, in Donald Trump's face about it. And of course, when she came out of that, Brittany Barnett's a good friend of mine, Topeka's a good friend of mine. We wound up in the mix together. And we started strategizing and strategizing and dreaming and scheming about how to get more done. So we went back to the Trump White House. I'm sitting in the Oval Office with Kim here, I'm there, Ivanka's there, Jared's there. All of us talking to Trump. It's like trying to talk to a hurricane. This guy's got so much energy, he's moving around, blah, blah, blah. His mind goes so fast. And I think I'm a pretty persuasive cat. I'm making 0 progress. I talked probably for 20 minutes without taking a break, trying to figure out how I could break in, come up with a big goose egg. Kim, I'm not going to reveal the conversation, but Kim just looked at him. She talked for less than 2 minutes. Okay, I'll do it. I'm like, this woman just hypnotized a grizzly bear. I don't know how the hell she did it. And all of a sudden I realized this is and this is just her just on the strength, and all the research that we had given her, she had almost memorized it. And I don't mean to insult anybody, but I've worked with a lot of celebrities. And a lot of times,
And when you send the stuff, people,
it's like thank you for the package or whatever. They might flip through it in the Uber or in the shirt, but they're not gonna study it and really know it. And so what happened in the meeting was Trump said one thing that she figured out that was his issue, but he had said so many things that we're just chasing every ball. But she realized that was his issue, and she had the kill shot because she had read the packet and she was able to get him. Boom. And he's okay. I said, man, look, I'm one of the best to do it. And I would have come out here with a big, embarrassing goose egg. And this, like, so-called celebutant or whatever just saved the whole campaign.
Do you think that Kim was almost done a disservice by Kanye's whole Trump obsession? Because it was around the same time, and it made people like me, instead of appreciating what Kim did, think we were seeing some weird Kardashian Trump conspiracy instead of looking at the work she was doing.
Like, you know, a PR play for cleanup and promo. You know,
I a lot of people call and tell me that, when you talk to somebody, you can tell. Same with Jared. It's like, no, this is some real stuff. I've never met, I wouldn't say a celebrity, I've never met actually a person who has changed their life so much behind an issue. In other words, like, she went from 0 to 1,000. She's going
to law school now.
And it's my team that's prepping her for that. So my team is in like 18-hour a week contact with her. She's got little bitty babies under 5, a baby on the way, businesses to run, and she's up reading law books at night. And listen, not on every topic, I'm not gonna lie, but on contracts and criminal justice, it's like just, and she knows it. Now, other stuff, property, but she struggled. But I'm telling you, there's stuff that she just, we can't.
And she watched her dad do this work.
Exactly.
Well,
and so she grew up in a household with that. So, so all I'm saying is, I can understand why she has a ditch to dig out of in terms of people, is this real, is this not? But usually, even with celebs who helped on issues, and I work with, great people, you usually call them. This is happening. Can you help me? This is happening. Will you do a PSA? This is happening. Will you tweet? Kim contacts us. She's like, what are we doing about this? What are we doing about that? Blah, 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 blah. So all I'm saying is that
she's doing the work. And
she's doing
serious.
the work. And that doesn't mean you can't criticize her for other stuff. But I think at a certain point we have to say, and people, well, you're giving the white girl the credit. I said, no. You're not going to find anybody on CNN, at least. I had AOC on before, Ilhan Omar. I give our sisters our credit. And by the way, 96% of black women voted against Trump. That's better than any other group. 88% black men. Everybody else is down in like the 50s and 40s and whatever. Mm-hmm. So, it does not take away the black women who have worked with Kim. Hey, listen, she's so humble and hardworking. We're not mad about her getting credit at all. Plus, she's using her stuff to help us. It's the folks who haven't worked with her yet.
But you do understand.
Yeah.
You do understand that as a society and as us who are have either been affected by American politics
or been in the trenches getting no
been
credit.
In the trenches getting things done, you're used to being disappointed, especially by celebrities or people using opportunistic things, et cetera, et cetera.
Absolutely.
So you do understand where people are coming from. Like, yo, what's this bullshit? Really, what's really going on?
And I understand that she's got a ditch to climb out of. But what I'm saying is that just open our minds to the fact.
But we don't have access to the information.
Right.
Like, until this conversation, who's telling this story?
Right. Well, that's a good point. And the other thing too
that
is
we trust.
Right. That we trust.
Yeah. And
y'all trust Van?
Well, at least give me a C minus. You know what I mean? But look, the reason that I signed up with the Reform Alliance, because again, I wasn't looking for a job. I work 40, 50 hours a week on criminal justice for free for the past 4 or 5 years. It's just
It's what you do.
It's what I do. It's what I do. And my belief about it is, during slavery times, what would you have done? Would you have been an abolitionist? Would you have donated? During Jim Crow segregation, would you have been down with Ella Jo Baker, Fannie Lou Hamer, Dr. King, Bayard Rustin? Would you not? Well, you can kind of answer the question by what are we doing now? Because this is that system that's attacking the freedom and dignity of oppressed people every day, and it's become normalized. Because that's what segregation was. It was normalized. So for me, I feel like I owe it to my father and I owe it to my family to fight. So the reason that when Jay-Z and these guys, got together with the Reform Alliance and they gave me the opportunity to work, I said, there's a lot of ways to do it wrong. A lot of the mythology about how you pass a bill, about how you really close a prison, about how you get somebody home. There's a lot of mythology about it. We've got to protest, whatever. That's a very important part of it. But we got to be as sophisticated as the system we're trying to change. It is a very sophisticated trap that we are in. And we have to be very sophisticated about how we undo it. And unfortunately, it's a double key. You have to have the Democrats and you have to have the Republicans, because there's almost no state where you can pass a major bill, no state with bad numbers for us. Mm-hmm. You can pass a major bill with only Democrats.
Right.
So you have to have that other key for the lock. Well, I don't want to touch that key. That key is nasty. That key is racist. Well, then I'll touch it. You don't have to touch it. You keep our movement going on this side,
so where does
I'll
that
touch it.
Where does that fit into the conversation of a good presidential candidate for 2020?
Hey, listen, first of all, nobody has been as good as they're going to have to be. So if you look back, all these people, if they got any kind of record, it's going to be terrible.
You and Kamala would have had beef back in California back in the day.
Hey, listen, I've known Kamala for 20 plus years. And
she was hard. She was hard in California.
Hey, listen, it was interesting because she was kind of half and half for us. On the one hand, she was a black woman who was talking about smart on crime, not tough on crime, rhetorically. She wouldn't give the death penalty to the cop. I mean, somebody killed the cop, she wouldn't give them the death penalty. So on the one hand, we were proud. We got this black woman who's like not gonna impose a death penalty and blah, 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 and who says smart on crime, not tough on crime. But then she would turn around and do stuff that we'd be like, oh, come on now, don't do that, woo, woo. But at that time, we didn't have anybody breaking ranks. So the fact that she would break ranks a little bit, back then, that was like, okay, at least.
What years was back then?
We're talking about, I mean, let me see. So 98, 99 is when she first became like DA in San Francisco. And then she started her rise.
Well, is that part of the issue too? Because when we look back, and people who are new into politics want to go back and rip a person's record down, and don't keep in mind what the times were.
Yeah.
They have no context
exactly.
for what she was dealing with.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, your 3-point percentage, 10 years ago for your team is a lot different than now because the game done changed.
You
right?
shoot 73s a game, everything's different.
Exactly.
So is there anyone that you like though? Because it does seem like there's a big gap between the Bernies and the Bidens and all the people in the middle, and what makes sense for getting positive things done.
Look, what I would say is that movements make change. The reason that the Republicans are in a different place on criminal justice is honestly because the Tea Party said quit raising taxes, and people said, well, we either have to raise taxes or close prisons. And Tea Party said, y'all got to close these prisons because as much as we don't like them, we really don't like taxes. So you know what I mean? So,
we don't want to spend money.
It came down to the money.
Exactly. So I mean, and then some Christian conservatives and other libertarians, but it was the movements. On our side, it was Black Lives Matter. So you had two parties stuck on stupid. And then Black Lives Matter moved the Democrats, and ironically, the Tea Party on this one issue moved the Republicans. So I say, look, these candidates are going to say whatever gets them elected. So why don't we build movements that are strong enough to make sure they feel like they have to do right by us?
Well,
I care about that more.
See, and that was my thing with when we, going back towards Hillary and who could actually win, and at the time. People were ripping her apart for the super predator thing, not understanding. We were on this show. I was like, guys, I was on the radio in the 90s. Yeah. I remember when black evangelists and churchgoers and black activists were against gangs and was willing to cozy up with whatever politician.
Oh, worse than that. They would beat up a Democrat who wouldn't promise to flood the streets with cops.
Yeah.
I mean, so we had black. I mean, and James Foreman wrote a book called "Locking Up Our Own." Brother, it was at Yale.
Yeah.
He was at Yale.
And on the hip hop side, we had C. Dolores Tucker and everybody going at putting stickers on albums and stomping it. And as a young person, I was like, yo, y'all not listening to what these young men are saying in the music. They telling you what the problems are, and you don't want to help them. You just want to shut them up.
But you were one of the few people that had any type of impact back in those days. I mean, it was a whole bunch of us who didn't have your impact, who were, going to city council meetings and school board meetings, hollering and screaming, saying the same thing. Y'all are not listening to us.
Well, and so fast forward now, Hillary gets kind of, I guess, I would say, chopped at the knees because of the super predator thing, and the vote got splintered, and et cetera, et cetera. But fast forward to right now, I feel like Hillary would have listened to whatever movement. Yes. Right? She's a politician.
Yeah, so
somebody who's going to say, okay, what are the people saying? All right, that's what we got to do. Right. I think Bernie's one of those people in some regard. Like what's going on out here? Here's my agenda. Here's what I'm trying to get done. I may listen to the people. I think Kamala might listen to people. Yep. Joe, maybe. I don't know. Joe, I don't know about Joe.
Look, I'm on the left side of Pluto for this stuff. So for me, look, I'll support anybody against Trump. But I think we're almost still a year out from the first primary vote. The first primary vote's not till February. Let's not give up on our dreams from the beginning. Let's if you feel passionate about Mayor Pete or Kamala or Elizabeth Warren, has some good ideas. Let's at least, while it's I mean, it ain't even summer. Can we dream? Can we go a little bit crazy? Can we? You were telling me about Yang, the guy?
Andrew Yang, man.
Yeah,
All about the math.
I wasn't even. You made me clue into him. You know what I mean? And so, let's
That's my guy.
Like we could dream a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, so listen, once it comes down to it,
Mathematics, kid. Yo, the mathematics, kid.
Yeah,
I love you. He was great.
Yeah, so I mean, you clued me into him. I had to go do my research and come. I thought you might be asking some questions about him. I had to go watch some YouTube videos. So all I'm saying is that this is the time for us to dream. I don't know. All I know is they keep saying, go with the electable person. Every time in my adult life, the electable person always lost.
Yeah.
Gore was supposed to be electable. Kerry was supposed to be electable. John McCain was supposed to be electable. Hillary Clinton was supposed to be electable. The electable people have been losing. Meanwhile, Obama and Trump. Now,
well said.
Now, Obama, like, his name was Barack Hussein Osama bin Laden. I mean, what does this dude's even name? People couldn't even get their, what is this dude's name? Right. Don't forget, Al Sharpton, who's my mentor, who I love, at the 2004 convention said, he was giving his speech. People they love Obama's speech, but Sharpton's speech that year was amazing. And he said, "And let's not forget our young people like Obama, Baraka." I mean, he couldn't even know. We didn't even know his name.
Al Sharpton can't spell respect either. R-E-S-P. But that's fine. It's fine.
No, but I love. Look, ain't nobody mess with Al Sharpton. I love it. He was our hero, and he's still my mentor. But my only point is, don't forget that in 2004, we didn't even know how to say the brother's name.
And in 2008,
he was president.
Right.
So let's just let ourselves dream a little bit. And by the way, I have this show, Redemption. And I want to talk about that because nobody is going to come to us perfect. Everybody, if they got a record, it's going to be spotty because politics has been messed up for so long.
And the Democrats want everybody to be perfect.
I mean, I'm like, listen, run a third grader then. You know what I mean? Because, anybody who has any kind of a record, you're going to have a problem with it. So I have this show called Redemption, the Redemption Project, 9 p.m. on Sunday. CNN, 8 weeks. Check it out. As much as y'all beat me up about a tweet or a comment that I made, I'll take my butt quick kicking from my community. I'm accountable.
You got, like when you said Trump was good at the State of the Union?
So, that's all that stuff. I'll take whatever people want to give me on that, on what I said. But please at least recognize that for the first time ever, we have a prime time show on CNN, on cable news, criminal justice, restorative justice. And it's not an easy show. It's not about innocence. It's not about nonviolent drug offenders. It's about people who have done real harm in our community and want to make amends. Because a lot of our folk have done real harm. And they want to come home. They want to make amends. They want to atone. There's some diamonds behind those walls that never get a chance to shine. My show lets them shine and lets them find the person that they hurt and apologize.
Ooh, that's heavy stuff.
Face to face, on film for the first time, people who've shot folk, people who've done, to sit down with either survivor or surviving family members face to face and atone. And it's filmed beautifully. And all I'm saying is that's 8 hours, and it's 9 p.m. on Sunday. You know what that means. That's Anthony Bourdain's slot.
Yeah.
That is sacred ground for us at CNN. For CNN to let me put that in prime time.
It's this
Sunday.
Starts this Sunday.
And I'm going to tell you,
go. Tough. Game of Thrones is on.
Exactly. DVR it.
No, he's not trying to be Game of Thrones.
Well, he's a Game of Thrones guy. What you watch?
I watch my show and then I watch Game of Thrones, but we call it in my house Game of Jones. I'm sorry. That's our show. So
that's a great slot and a great thing to see.
But just understand, why is my heart broken? My heart's not broken because I passed, working with my allies, we passed all these bills. We got people coming home. We got people, people reach out to me all the time. Thank you. I just met 2 women last week who came home because of First Step Act. Me working with the Trump administration got her home. My heart is broken because you can do real hard work in this community and still be defined by one tweet. Image matters more than impact. Data matters more than wisdom. Yeah, fine. Yeah, you can find some data points on me or anybody else. But the reason that we don't have people stick their neck out and put their neck on the line is what they're going to say. How's that going to look? I'm not worried about how I look. I got a good job at CNN. I get to talk to you. I get to walk around free. My worst day on Twitter is better than anybody's best day in prison, okay? We have to keep our priorities straight. But I think it disserves our community when we get so excited about what one comment, and then when the work is getting done, that never trends. You get 8 hours of documentary stuff on restorative justice, criminal justice, hard stuff, and there's no response from our community. But then if they had a documentary series making us look bad, then it would be, oh, it's terrible, what's CNN doing, blah, 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 boycott them, blah, blah, blah. Well, how about support when we get something done?
That is, you just tapped into what the nature of social media is. Mm-hmm. While there is a really great aspect, particularly organizationally and things like that, the basic nature of it is complain. That is the basic nature. It is not support and organize.
Also the
it's
basic
talk
nature
shit.
of a lot of humans too. Yeah. Let's be honest. Why do you think in the news world, if it bleeds, it leads, has always been a part of it because people want the drama.
Yeah,
and they that's just I don't know what it is about us, but that's the way a lot of us are wired. Many of us. But I do want to reiterate though that all of the stuff that you've done and what you've become to us as a brand in media is really still about one thing.
Mm-hmm. Justice for our people.
And getting people out of jail.
Which is very hard to do. I'm going to tell you, it is...
Because I think people use the word justice a lot.
Yeah, I got you. And they mean it broad. They just mean like...
And I don't know if people actually get what that means. What do you mean justice?
It means passing
because
bills.
Most people don't even know what justice actually is because they don't really get to see it
in
their own
exactly.
lives.
It's like a unicorn.
So what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But like... That's why I said getting people out of jail that shouldn't be in jail.
Yeah, and when I say shouldn't be in jail, I don't mean because they're innocent. I mean because they're guilty, but guess what? I saw more kids guilty of doing drugs at Yale than I've ever seen in a housing project. They did every drug you've ever heard of every day at Yale. They never called the cops. At worst, they would go to rehab. At worst, they go to rehab. And now those people have jobs and homes and everything else.
Consequences aren't the same.
And then 3 blocks away in New Haven in the housing project, those kids did a little bit of drugs and got records, and some of them still in prison.
Can't rent a house.
Can't rent a house. Can't get a student loan. So I'm saying when I say you shouldn't be in jail, I mean we know what to do with folks who get messed up in drugs because we do it for rich folks' kids every day. Do it for everybody's kids. If they're not going to jail, why are our kids going to jail? I mean, that as a young person in law school, seeing that kind of stuff has never left me. I mean, now we see this stuff on our phones every day. But don't forget how shocking it was back in '92 to see a video of us being beaten, Rodney King. It had never been shown, and we said now they're gonna give us justice because they can see it. We've been telling y'all, and nothing happened. I still haven't gotten over that. 25 years later.
But OJ got off.
Well, I mean, listen, great, But
no, that's what I'm saying. That was the bullshit. That's how bad.
That was our only.
But that's why.
That's not even a real victory.
That was our only. But that wasn't a victory. That was vengeance.
Right. That was vengeance. Well said.
Yeah, in L.A. And everybody knew what that was. Everybody knew what that was. It's like, all right. If the court system ain't gonna work for us, it ain't gonna work for you.
Right.
But that wasn't a victory. That was
of course
vengeance.
not. It didn't do anything. It didn't ultimately affect anything.
My only point is, everybody's got to play their role. My role is to be the person that can get the Republicans to act right. Your role is to help make the community be educated and sophisticated and stuff that you do. And have some fun with it.
We talk some shit, Van.
And have some fun with
it. But I don't want to get crazy.
Yeah, but
I mean, you're here right now. We're being adults.
That's good. But here's the deal. Everybody has their role, and so if you don't want to go and to get justice to pass a bill, you have math matters. How many Republican votes do you need in that committee? Can you get them? Great. I'm going to go get them. You keep the Democrats. You keep the movement. That's great. I'm not mad at you. We need that. But somebody's got to go get these other votes.
Someone's got to get the Republican votes because those are the hard
and that's
ones.
my job because I can do it.
That's a hell of a job.
And to the extent, listen, I don't expect for everybody to understand all that. That's perfectly fine. But then when I turn around and use that same platform to straight up, no compromise, advance our toughest issues in prime time, 8 hours, and can't get no love.
Are you trying to get love for positive stuff?
Van, listen, you ain't going to get love from everybody. Everybody ain't going to like you.
That's true.
And until right now, I don't think most people even knew that was the actual work that you did.
Okay, that's fair enough.
But good news. Yeah. Once they know, Still not gonna
They're
give you
still
credit.
gonna be like, yo, fuck Van Jones, man. Get the fuck out of here.
Trying to preach that. Oh, you trying to preach? Trying to kick knowledge? That's what we. Seriously though,
We deal with it all day, every day.
Every day.
Honestly, if we're having real talk about it, it's dysfunctional love. Which you're from the hood, so you know, right? It's black folks, we're tough on each other. We talk a lot of shit to each other. A lot of times instead of saying I love you, people will say, oh, you forgot about us? Oh, what, you don't come around here no more? And really what they're saying
They just want to hug, man.
I miss you, man. But it's just, it's how we were wired to put up this tough exterior because it was so much other shit going on that we had to be prepared for. You know what I'm saying? So
And some
just
people are
remember
assholes,
that.
Ebro. And some people are just assholes.
And then there's that.
And they have a computer where they can just pretend they're assholes, but in real life they might be totally not.
Right.
Yo, either way, it's on at 9 o'clock.
9 p.m.
Sunday.
I'm going to be watching at 10 o'clock.
Exactly.
But 9 o'clock CNN, Sunday for the next 8 weeks. Congrats.
And
That's
just
amazing.
make sure you put up some dope clips on IG. You know what
Okay.
I'm saying? Because,
Okay.
a dope clip on IG.
Yeah, it's true. That's actually very
or
true.
an extended clip on your IGTV.
Yeah,
or on
that'll
Twitter,
drive it.
or the 5-minute Twitter
tell
clip.
CNN to
That's
throw
good.
up some clips.
That's good. No, that's good. As soon as we walk out of here, I'm going to tell them to do that too. I had to fight so hard to get it on the air. Though I got to say, Amy Angelis over at CNN from the door, she was like, this is some crazy stuff, but do it. Go do it. And then a lot of times, you don't always get an air date. We got an air date, so let's use it.
There you go.
Congrats,
Van
man.
Jones, ladies and gentlemen.
All right.
Hopefully we'll have you
Okay.
back to talk about reform and all that stuff soon, too.
Oh, we got more news to make. We'll come back.